From the national championship game, and I've been dealing with this for 2 years now. And understanding, like, yeah, negative things have probably been said about me, but honestly, I'll take that because look where women's
This is a physical game.
Angel Reese didn't just have a sophomore season in the WNBA, she had a season that turned into a whole storyline, and by the end of it, Chicago was losing control of the narrative. But here's the part nobody saw coming: main body. By December, the question around Angel Reese wasn't whether she was good enough for the league, but whether the Chicago Sky were good enough for her. And once that question entered the conversation, there was no putting it back in the box at all.
We'll give it up to Allen. They're going to give up that shot to her. Reese puts it up, count the bucket, body bucket and one for Angel.
Angel Reese entered the WNBA with expectations that felt heavy from day one. She wasn't just a top draft pick, she was already one of the most recognizable faces in women's basketball, carrying college stardom, cultural relevance, and a spotlight that never really turns off. Chicago knew exactly what it was getting when it selected her 7th overall in the 2024 draft, and for stretches, Reese delivered exactly what the franchise hoped for. But hold on, because the numbers tell a story that's even louder than the headlines.
She's working with, but we're seeing a lot of the superstars from the Liberty.
A fun word after that play.
Angel Reese is really good at tight rows and small plays.
By the end of the 2025 season, Reese was a 2-time All-Star and statistically one of the most productive players in the league. She led the WNBA in rebounds per game, finishing at 12.6, and also led the league in double-doubles with 23. On top of that, she paced the Sky in scoring at nearly 15 points per game, and quietly became one of the team's better playmakers, averaging close to 4 assists a night. For a forward often described as purely physical, her all-around impact was undeniable, and yet despite all of that, Chicago finished with a 10-34 record and missed the playoffs for the 2nd straight year. That disconnect is where things started to crack, because here's the uncomfortable truth: when a star performs like that and the team still collapses, someone is going to start asking questions, and Angel Reese didn't wait for someone else to ask them first.
I don't think I'm frustrated. I probably am frustrated myself right now. I think the language is taken out of context, and I really didn't intentionally mean.
Reese didn't hide her frustration as the season unraveled. In an interview with the Chicago Tribune, she openly questioned the Sky's roster construction, particularly the lack of stability at point guard, and made it clear she believed the team needed better pieces if it wanted to move forward. The comments weren't subtle, and they weren't anonymous. They were Angel Reese speaking honestly, and the organization did not appreciate it. But guess what happened next changed everything. The Sky labeled the remarks detrimental to the team and suspended Reese for the first half of the following game. Officially, that was the discipline. Unofficially, that moment detonated weeks of tension that had been building behind closed doors. Reese did not play in the second half of that game, nor did she appear in the final 3 games of the season. The team cited a back injury, and Reese later confirmed the injury was real and limited her to just 30 games that year, but by then, the damage was done. Fans noticed the timing, media noticed the silence, and suddenly, every absence felt louder than a press conference. But hold on, had Angel Reese played her last game in a Sky uniform?
Really found her footing over the last 4 or 5 games. Reese, the deep catch and the finish on Smith, and had something to say about it after.
They're always taught as an offensive post player to do your work early.
The numbers without her only added fuel to the fire. Chicago went 1-13 in games Reese missed. The team looked lost, undersized, and overwhelmed. Whatever internal issues existed, the on-court product made one thing painfully obvious: Reese wasn't the problem, she was the engine. And here's where the situation turns from drama to warning sign. As the season closed, rumors swirled about trades, discontent, and long-term fit. Reese didn't help the speculation by remaining honest, but she did eventually address it directly. Speaking from USA Basketball training camp in December, Reese shut down the biggest question with a sentence that sounded firm, if not entirely enthusiastic. She said she planned to return to the Sky because she was under contract. Read that again. Not because everything was perfect, not because the situation was ideal, because she was under contract.
Angel Reese attacking Melissa Smith again.
And she's going to have her hands full today. Angel Reese is a player who...
Her rookie deal runs through 2026 with a team option for 2027, meaning Chicago still controls her immediate future. Reese also emphasized that she was continuing conversations with new head coach Tyler Marsh and general manager Jeff Pagliacca, framing the relationship as something still being built rather than something broken beyond repair. Pagliacca echoed that message publicly, saying the organization believed the chapter had been closed and that Reese had apologized both publicly and privately to her teammates. According to him, communication with Reese and her team remained constant and productive. But let's pause on that word productive, because that's where the tension still lives. The truth is, the fracture didn't come out of nowhere. Reese's frustration traces back to decisions made long before the suspension, after her rookie season, where Chicago showed flashes of growth and Reese formed a strong bond with head coach Teresa Weatherspoon. The Sky abruptly fired Weatherspoon after just 1 year. The move shocked many around the league, including Reese herself.
13 and 10. Look.
And this is where things quietly went off the rails. Weatherspoon wasn't just a coach to Reese, she was a mentor. Reese has openly described her as her backbone, someone she spoke to daily, someone who watched film with her and guided her through the emotional grind of a professional season. Losing that connection so quickly felt less like a basketball decision and more like a message. When Tyler Marsh took over, the results didn't improve. Injuries didn't help, including the loss of Courtney Vandersloot, but the on-court chemistry never settled. Reese later reflected on her sophomore season during an episode of her podcast, Unapologetically Angel, where she again highlighted how central Weatherspoon had been to her confidence and joy. And then came the line that landed heavier than any stat: never let anybody take your joy.
Celebrities coming to games, sold out arenas, like just because of one single game. And just looking at that, like, I'll take that role. I'll take the bad guy role, and I'll continue to take that on and be that for my teammates. And if I want to be that...
That quote didn't feel random. It felt earned. Chicago, meanwhile, struggled to create any. Layered over all of this was Reese's growing role as a voice in league-wide issues. At USA Basketball Camp, she joined other stars in publicly supporting the players' union as negotiations over a new collective bargaining agreement dragged on. Reese emphasized unity, fairness, and the importance of players standing together, even as the possibility of a work stoppage loomed. And just like that, this stopped being only about Chicago. Reese was operating in a league at a crossroads where stars were realizing their leverage and fans were watching everything more closely than ever. And then there's the rivalry that refuses to go away.
And Angel Reese knows a ring is coming.
Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark are tied together whether they like it or not. From college battles to WNBA matchups, every interaction between them becomes content. Every stat comparison becomes debate fuel. Every quote gets dissected. Their rivalry is magnified, often unfairly, by the attention. Economy surrounding women's basketball. Angel Reese has once taunted Caitlin Clark on the game, which have become a very famous scene so far, and here's the part people forget. It all started when fans started choosing sides, narratives form, and suddenly two players doing their jobs become symbols for entirely different philosophies of basketball.
Like, it's not just because of one person. A lot of us have done so much for this game, and Kennedy has been here before, obviously, but there are so many great players in this league that have deserved this for a really, really long time, and luckily...
Chicago versus Indiana games became events. Reese understood that attention comes with territory, and while she never shied away from confidence, she also never claimed to be chasing popularity. She chased wins, and when they didn't come, the frustration followed. By the end of 2025, Reese found herself at a crossroads without actually moving. She reaffirmed her commitment to the Sky, but the subtext remained impossible to miss. Patience is not infinite. Talent like hers doesn't wait forever, and franchises that fail to capitalize on stars often become cautionary tales.
I fell on my hand when I got the M1. When I fell back, fell on my hand, and it is a small crack in my bone.
Physically, Reese enters the next phase healthy. She confirmed she is fully recovered from her back injury and earned a spot among 10 players making their senior national team camp debuts. Sharing the floor with names like Clark, Juju Watkins, and Paige Buchers, Reese spoke openly about her Olympic aspirations and the significance of being back in USA basketball after her college years. And suddenly, the smile was back. For Chicago, the offseason isn't just about roster moves, it's about trust. Reese is not a player you manage quietly, she's a presence. She brings scrutiny, but she also brings relevance. Lose her, and you don't just lose rebounds, you lose identity. For Reese, the situation is equally delicate. Staying in Chicago gives her continuity, control, and the chance to reshape the narrative. Leaving someday would mean starting over under a new spotlight, one that would follow her wherever she goes. And here's the moment to really pay attention. The drama surrounding Angel Reese is about ambition colliding with instability. Whether Chicago rises to that challenge will define the next chapter of both the franchise and Reese's career, because make no mistake, Angel Reese isn't going anywhere quietly.